So, October the 26th, 1939, and the Behind the Headlines section in News Review, it's trying to second guess what Hitler's next steps might be. And it's really interesting to see them going through this thought process. I mean, they clearly didn't have the benefit of hindsight that we have, and they're trying to work it out. And so it says, most reliable observers of the European scene were agreed this week on one point: the period of preliminary skirmishing necessary before every great offensive had come to an end, and Adolf Hitler was about to launch phase 2 of the war. What to expect? Will the Führer's campaign open with an attempted blitzkrieg, lightning war on the Western Front, combined with a mass air attack on strategic British cities and naval bases? Or perhaps an attempted political triumph, part of a great new war of bluff? Or a desperate last effort to get peace by negotiation before the guttering candle of Nazism gives its final flicker? In assessing the probabilities, 5 different viewpoints must be considered, and then it lists out 5 different schools of thought as to which way things might go. It then sets out 5 schools of thought, the first one being the peace school of thought. It says, one group, described by a political writer this week as the wingless intellectuals, formerly called the left-wing intellectuals, still thinks a peaceful settlement is on the cards. Its hopes are pinned on Paul van Zeeland, Belgian ex-Prime Minister, who months ago hawked around Europe a grandiose scheme for a World Economic Conference which would settle all outstanding problems between have and have-not nations. He is now said to have produced a plan, backed by certain neutral statesmen, for submission to President Roosevelt, in the hope that it would persuade him to offer mediation to the warring powers. Little Ivan Maitsky, the Soviets' ever-smiling ambassador in London, is also mentioned as a possible intermediary. He is reported to be telling everyone who visits his evening parties that it would be a really wonderful thing for the world if the British government would, even now, accept Hitler's proposal for a peace parley on Nazi terms. And then there's the Revolution School, which it says is the infinitely larger section, which professes inside information that revolution is on the point of breaking out in the Reich, that Hitler has ordered machine gun posts to be set up in all German cities to quell an anti-Nazi uprising. A mysterious body called the League to Fight for Free Germany is reported to be active. This is supposed to be the reason why Hitler called together last weekend all his district leaders. Madame Geneviève Tabouat, the French left-wing political columnist, declares that the League has produced a 9-point programme which includes the overthrow of Hitler, establishment of a provincial government to open peace discussions, the restoration of Austrian, Czech and Polish independence, and the trial by special tribunal of Nazi leaders accused of assassination, corruption and terrorism. Then there is blithe talk of acute unrest in the German army, exemplified by the arrest this week of Generals von Hammerstein and Stuppnagel. Moreover, great play is being made of the fact that purged Marshal Werner von Blomberg, now believed to be in protective custody for criticising Hitler's policy, is a relation of German Chief of Staff General Wilhelm Keitel. Blomberg's daughter married Keitel's son, apparently. And then the third school is called the Scare School. And it says long conferences between the Führer, held in Berlin last weekend, with Franz von Papen, Nazi envoy to Germany, and also his urgent summons to the German ambassadors in Italy and Russia, were taken by the Scare School to foreshadow a joint German, Italian, Russian front against the Allies. These 3 powers, it was argued, were to join Hitler in putting peace pressure on France. The origin of this theory was the Nazi radio, which for days has been pumping out propaganda that Britain will fight to the last French soldier. This led to the supposition that Hitler and his henchmen were bent on intensifying the fight against Britain alone as the warmongers-in-chief, whilst sustained efforts were made to convince the French that the Germans had no quarrel with them. If the French refused to accept the suggestion of a separate peace, it was predicted that Russia would come in on Germany's side with aircraft, mechanised military units and even Soviet infantry. Those who cling to this idea may not know that Hitler recently invited Mussolini to send Italian pilots to the Western Front for training under war conditions, actually to bolster up Germany's air force, but that the deuce declined. And then school number 4 is the Hitler Upper Gumtree School, which it says, vaguest of all are the arguments advanced by those wishful thinkers who reckon that Hitler has shot his last but one bolt. That he is baffled by Stalin's quick land grabs, halted in France by the onset of bad weather, and staggered by the signing of the Anglo-Turkish Pact of Mutual Assistance. Ribbentrop is supposed to be in disgrace, and so is von Papen. The breakdown of the Soviet-Turkish talks is called a put-up job by Stalin, who had never intended to do Hitler's dirty work in the Balkans, but had to make some kind of a show. The only course left for the Führer, think these theorists, is a frontal attack on the Maginot Line, even though it may cost the German army 1 million lives. And then school number 5 is the Blitzkrieg School, which, it says, according to other experts, including some of the best informed observers in Europe, Hitler has given up hope of getting peace out of the Chamberlain cabinet, and is about to wage a ferocious campaign by land, sea and air against the Allies, especially Britain. They reason as follows. Before long, Britain and France will be getting warplanes out of the United States under Roosevelt's cash and carry plan, which is bound, they say, to become law. Therefore, the Nazis must make full use of their air force before it is hopelessly outnumbered and outclassed. Further, U-boat warfare against the Allied blockade must be intensified before winter sets in. Hitler's intention, assert these armchair strategists, is to mass men on the Western Front to ensure military stalemate there and concentrate Germany's entire surplus manpower on the rapid manufacture of U-boats and warplanes. Constant air bombardment of the British fleet would then be made, not by 1, 2, 3 or even a dozen planes, but if necessary by 50 or 60 at a time. If the French attempt to answer back on land, the Nazis would use poison gas. Then it carries on under the title Hitler's New Obsession, and it's basically saying that nobody can really know which of those schools of thought is going to prove to be right over the next few weeks. But at least the facts suggest that Germany intends to waste no more time in attacking British ships and harbours, because destruction of the British Navy is Hitler's new obsession. If you like this content, please take a look at my channel, not history but news. I'm going through a big box full of old newspapers that I found in an attic, and there's loads of stuff like this. So please have a look, and if you enjoy it, please like and subscribe. Thank you.